Public Affairs, and we want to give you an update today. I know we've been trying to keep you informed as much as possible about what's going on here. So today you're going to hear from Chief Robert Zoldos, spelled Z-O-L-D-O-S. He's going to give you an update on where we stand now, what's been accomplished since this morning, updated information on road closures, and a quick update on the status of the firefighters. And then we're going to hear from Bo Ferguson. Bo Ferguson is a deputy city manager. That's F-E-R-G-U-S-O-N. He's going to give an update on the contractor's permit, right-of-way work that was taking place at the end. Okay? So now I'm going to turn it over to Chief Zoldos.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Zoldos. Last name is Z-O-L-D-O-S. Just a new update for you on many of the questions you had earlier. First of all, about our operations that are going on right behind me as we speak. The investigation once again is being conducted by the Durham Fire Department Fire Marshal's Office, assisted by the State Bureau of Investigation, the State Fire Marshal's Office, the ATF, and Durham County Fire Marshals. Salvage operations have been completed on the Bravo 1 and Delta 1 exposures, which means the left and the right buildings next to the actual collapse. Duke Energy has removed their fallen equipment from in front of the collapsed building, so what you've seen is the removal of all the power lines, as well as a very large transformer that was right in the way of our operations. All of that has been removed at this point. Lastly, we have used search dogs, both live find and cadaver search dogs. Nothing has been found during today's operations. We'll continue to use them as much as we can. With the no finds this morning, and with the knowledge that there is no missing people, we have continued on in a recovery mode throughout today. There were two clarifications that we wanted to make. One was the evacuation clarification in the Caffeinate coffee shop. The engine company captain of Engine 1 did order an evacuation to the store owner and the people working and having coffee inside. All the people in the business did evacuate other than the owner. The owner decided that he did not want to evacuate. Our engine captain went to find a police officer to enforce that evacuation order, and that's when the building exploded and collapsed. The condition of our firefighter, Firefighter Wheeler, as many of you know, was our most seriously injured firefighter. He is still in the hospital. We expect him to be released this afternoon. That has not occurred, but he's being processed to be released, so we expect him to be released today. The physical and mental health of our first responders is paramount, and we'll release their names and make them available for interviews when they're ready to do so. They are not in the condition yet to do that. Lastly, let's hit you up on some streets and some building updates. Gregson Street, to my left, has been reopened. Morgan Street from the downtown loop to Fuller Street is open for access to the West Village parking deck. West Main Street is still closed from Gregson Street to Fuller Street, but we're working on opening that. North Duke Street is closed from West Main Street to Minerva Street. Building update. 115 North Duke Street, which is caffeinated, the building is obviously condemned. 115 North Duke Street, which B. Prescient's company, is also condemned. 806 West Main to the left as you're looking at the building has been condemned. St. James Seafood has no occupancy permit or no occupancy allowed. Torrero's has no occupancy. Triangle Brewing has no occupancy. The Duke University office at 710 West Main has no occupancy due to the damage on the Duke Street side. Tom's building we've been given restricted access to Tom's and Hicks building. Control has been turned over to building management. What that means is the city has said it is okay to move back in, but there are dangers to it. The building management has assumed that risk to bringing anyone else in. There is one call of consequence that you may have heard of, we wanted to talk about, which is a response to 21C in the downtown for a gas leak today. There was a report of a gas leak or odor at 11:30 a.m. this morning, where fire and rescue units did respond and did a thorough search for gas inside the structure. No gas was found, and it was reoccupied soon thereafter. There are no hazards at that location today. With that, I'm going to turn it back over. Thank you.
Next, we have Deputy City Manager Bo Ferguson.
Good afternoon. First, before offering some additional information, I want to recognize and thank the presence of our mayor, Steve Schewel. Appreciate the mayor's ongoing support throughout this very unfortunate couple of days. Very strong support of the city staff and the first responders, and we're grateful, Mayor, for your continued presence and support of us. If I can get my laptop to reload, where I've got my notes. It went to sleep on me while I was waiting, so give me just a second, folks. All right, so obviously we fielded a number of questions yesterday and this morning about what we know about the work that was going on that presumably led to this incident. I'm prepared to tell you what we know now, what we're able to firmly verify and confirm. These are not final findings of any investigation. We're simply reporting out what documentation we have in the city, what knowledge we have in the city of who was doing work, and whether or not they were in compliance with any regulations that the city has. So a company called Fiber Technologies Network, LLC, had an active permit to be doing work that included the area on Duke Street where the incident happened. This permit was issued on June 27th of 2018. The permit was still valid and was valid through June 25th of 2019. In order to receive a permit to do work in the right-of-way, a firm must first have a license agreement with the city. That is a separate agreement. It gives them permission it gives a first level of permission to be active in the city. That is a document that requires those companies to abide by a number of requirements and regulations. This company, Fiber Technologies Network LLC, did have an approved license agreement that was issued in 2016. And again, there's nothing irregular about that document. It was active and in effect. As is often the case first and foremost, Fiber Technologies Networks LLC has also done business as Lighthouse Fiber Networks. Some of our records has that second name, Lighthouse Fiber Networks. And recently, this company was acquired by Crown Castle, and so that is a third name. They are all, these companies that have the permit, we believe are a subsidiary of Crown Castle. So that is the information we have about the names of the companies that held the permit. In addition, as is common with any industry, any business that requests a permit to work in the right-of-way, they frequently have an engineering company that actually designs those utility installations and then oversees the installation and construction. And when we have that information, we're able to share it. In this case, an engineering company by the name of Utilus, UTILUS, was the designer that submitted the permits for the city's review. And I believe Utilus, the address of record we have is in Charlotte. Utilus would have been the company then reporting up to Fiber Technology Networks in terms of designing and overseeing construction. It is also not unusual for the engineering firms to have subcontractors who are actually doing the work. We cannot confirm at this time if Utilus had a subcontractor that was doing this work, so we don't have that information to provide. Those are the names of the firms that we have. There's been a lot of requests for information on that. The permit document, there's been some requests for the permit document. The Public Information Director, Beverly Thompson, has those documents and will hand them out afterwards. I want to be clear that the document you're getting is a very brief document. It's a 3-page document that's a high-level summary. There's also a very detailed attachment to that it was impractical to make copies of to bring for you today. In the next 24 hours, we will scan and post that to a publicly accessible site. We're going to use the distribution list for our public information officers to make that information available. So you will get the background documents for those of you who've requested it. For anyone else who'd like to see it, these are public information. I wanted to be clear that the high-level summary that we're handing out today is not the only document that governs the relationship between these firms and the city of Durham. I think with that, turn it back over to you.
Before we open it up to questions, emergency communications and